Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to My Take. I have my usual suspects with me this evening. Nicole Wagon, welcome. Hi, Liz Hodge, good evening.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We have an interesting one tonight. We are going to try to cover the election judges in the recall process. I will be honest, it was a little hard for me to put my finger on this one because it's so full of holes. There's hardly anything to hold on to. It's so flimsy and floppy and cut and dissected, but we're going to give it our best shot tonight. Okay, first of all, I do not represent the tribes. I am exercising my individual sovereignty as a tribal member. This is protected under the freedom of speech. Personal opinion over defamation. We are not in the business of doing that. We are just offering our personal opinions. And I do my due diligence when it comes to fact checking. I am not responsible for guest views and comments. And are you guys ready to go? Do you all agree?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Let's dive into it. So, what is the election committee? I have a couple of slides here, and I'm kind of hoping that you ladies will jump in. So, specifically, what is an election committee? I have here they're Northern Arapaho election judges, and they manage tribal elections. Okay, so that's one part of it. The second part is that it contains tribal members who take an oath to uphold tribal laws, policies, customs, and sovereignty. So it's the election judges who I'm referring to there. And at times, they navigate disputes between the general council, which is the supreme governing body, and the business council, which is the day-to-day admin staff. So they're kind of like liaisons between general counsel, which is us, the people, and the business council. I'm also pretty sure that there are clerks and security also wrapped up with a bow into this election committee. What are your thoughts on this, ladies? Am I tracking on what the definition of what an election committee is?
Well, my thoughts on this is that's all they do now. All they go by is the 6663A. There's no bylaws, no nothing that governs. What they do. I don't even know that they take an oath. Do they? Do they take an oath? I don't think they do. And as far as navigating between the council and the business council, I don't think they even do that. They do whatever the council tells them to do because they're appointed by them, right? That's what.
As of right now, yes.
Yeah, the current ones, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, but it was taken. They can't take anything to court, right? Thanks to Marvin.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you're muted. If you're talking, you're muted.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they changed it back in gosh, what's the date on this? I don't even have a date on this. May 8th of 21. They changed to where the Wind River Tribal Court shall have no jurisdiction over the Northern Arapaho Tribe's election processes. Sole authority over such matters shall lie with the election judges and the Northern Arapaho General Council. And all this stuff is in 6663A. Part 2, elections and office of holding. There's 1 to 12 sections on it of where they're supposed to be implementing if there's any vacancies, election conduct, prohibition against office withholding, seeking election and dual offices, no employee loans, drug testing, and then they're in charge of recall and removal and the election procedures of who can be candidates, who can't, with the requirements of debt-free. And there's just no excuses with everybody not knowing, because even it writes in here about writing candidates, recounts, and certification. The Secretary of the Business Council shall certify and post the interim result of all elections conducted pursuant to this resolution within 24 hours after completion of the official count. So it's all in here. And when anybody runs for any seat, whether it's NPC, EDC, or tribal committee, once you file, they give you the 66638. And at every general council, 66638 is available to anybody and everyone.
Okay, so I do have a copy of 663A, and I believe it was you who provided it to me. I don't know if I have an updated copy, honestly, because I don't. The certification by the secretary, I don't remember reading that. Okay, so let's do a public service announcement. Can we? If you're a tribal member out there and you are interested in getting the most updated copy of 6663A, who do they contact? It's the tribal secretary, or she's calling herself an executive assistant right now, I believe. Nora Willow?
Yeah.
Is that where we would go?
Yeah. You have to fill out for like Ordinance 31 for any resolutions. So, but good luck with that.
Yeah, because mine are still hostage. I still haven't got my resolutions or my ordinances from last year. I don't know why
All
they
right.
hold on to mine, but with that certification, that's section 17. That's second to the last page.
Oh yeah, certification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certification, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so the election committee, they basically oversee everything. You know, they you got to be drug free. You know, a certain age. You have to do the filing fee. They're over all of that, and it's all in 66638.
Okay, so this copy that I do have, and I do have this hung in the Patreon article, so it is out there if you don't want to go through the hassle of going through the tribal secretaries. It is hung on the Patreon page as well, and I believe this is the copy that I have. Of course, there's no date on it, so there's no like edition control or version control on this very important document. Gotta love it. All right, so awesome. We feeling good about what we've put out for people as far as what an election committee is. We're trying here, huh? Okay. So
they're not male members.
Traditionally, never.
Yeah. So, according to Northern Arapaho tribe, they're traditionally women, and it's passed down within families. Is there a reason for that, or is it just tradition?
I think it was tradition, but also, you know, the mothers or grandmothers or whatever would pass it down, you know, and train,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know, who they selected. And so once they were to take their seats, was come to find out was January 1st of each year, right, Nicole?
Yeah, that's what the old judges said. Traditionally, they took them January 1st of every year.
And so January 1st is come and gone, and there's been no changing of the guard.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
That's an issue. Members of the tribe election committee. Okay, currently the Northern Arapaho Business Council appointed election judges currently are Lee Spoonhunter, Hetty Brown, Jane Dewey, Rita Willow, Francinda, Wallingbull, and Elsie Charging Crow. And these have been handpicked by the Northern Arapahoe Business Council. Any surprises there?
Corruption, but not surprised.
A lot of good old boys and good old girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, because why on earth would the NABC want to invite conflict of interest and have their own relative in that seat and then violate their own application process? Because in their own application process, it says cannot be a convicted felon.
Yes.
And it's known reservation wide that Lee Spoonhunter is a convicted felon.
Mm-hmm.
So they picked these people knowing full well where it should be separation of powers. And in the beginning, NABC should have no part of it of appointing because they're candidates.
Mm-hmm.
So they're crossing boundaries here. That's what I think. There should be separation of powers.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a rumor going around that Lee Spoonhunter is going to try to run. How can you run for office and you're an election judge? I mean, you're going to have to give up something. You're going to have to give up some scepter of power there, dude. He wants his cake and eat it too.
Mm.
Yeah, but I mean, he has no ethics.
It's bizarre to me, and it's bizarre that people aren't seeing this and people aren't saying anything about this. And he's just running around like a Mad Hatter, doing whatever the heck he wants.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that people's eyes were open back in May of 2025 when this was on the General Council, and it was brought up that no males have ever been on this committee.
Mm-hmm.
And it was brought up that we're picking from the people picked and voted for who they wanted on the committee. And I think it speaks for itself, because if any of the people wanted any of these individuals on those seats, they would have been nominated. Not one of them were nominated. I find that interesting. The people spoke and their votes passed, and none of them were nominated.
I think Francinda actually was, but wasn't chosen.
Who is that?
I think Francinda was actually nominated out of the current.
Still has not very good odds.
Nope. Didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut. Here we go. No felons. And this is according to their own job description. But it was put out by the Northern Arapahoe Tribe, or excuse me, this was put out on the tribal Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a job description that was written by NABC or the tribal secretaries, or the tribe's HR department.
Or
who knows?
We don't know who wrote it. But it was advertised for those positions.
Oh my God. There's no separation. There's no separation of powers here, folks.
No, and what gets me, according to 6663A in the Section 11, Elections, Clerks, and Judges, the Northern Arapahoe Business Council shall advertise and appoint election judges for each election cycle. Okay, and with an 8-year term limit. Okay, but the Business Council themselves went ahead and terminated 2 of the election judges. And I don't know what they did wrong, because further down it says, absent substantial proof of misconduct or inability to perform their duties, the judges and clerks so appointed shall serve through the period required to oversee the election for which they were appointed. And also, and shall perform their duties and responsibilities free from review and control of the business council or the election committee. So to me, it's just a bunch of bogus. It's like, okay, they're going to appoint them, but they're going to be, the council can appoint them, but they're free from review of control. Free from review and control. I don't know. That still makes no sense. So now, and then, so when we met with the council, Keenan actually said, that they weren't going to intervene on this, the election judges. They appointed them and they already intervened, right?
Oh, they've handed the control over to Lee Spoonhunter.
Right. And we know what
conceded.
We know what that was about. He wanted to get staggered terms, and then getting staggered terms, it would have reset Harjo and Spoonhunter's terms. Would have reset.
Right.
Yep. So the two election judges, I think, spoke against it, and that's why. It's okay. Well, but they still did their job. They still did what they were supposed to do, counted the votes and all this stuff. Yeah, but free from review and control, my ass.
Wow.
They violated 663A because referendum vote does not, nor does a definition exist in 663A. You could look through it back and forth. There's no definition.
No.
And it says to amend any amendments, you have to meet with the election judges.
Right.
And elder at their one of their meetings said, you guys are violating 6663A. You haven't officially did anything to put onto the general council to make the amendment of adding the word referendum vote. Since that's non-existent, there's no way that they could have moved forward of having that
referendum vote.
Yeah, the referendum vote for
staggered terms. Wow.
There's no way that should have happened.
Illegal.
But these guys like to break laws. We know Lee Spoonhunter's good at it because he's a convicted felon. He's on there. Turn around. He was NABC pushing for the staggered terms, and it cost us over $37,000 plus. They wasted our tribal money. And so Black and White, he evidently likes to break rules. None of the rules apply to him.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't need leaders like that.
No, that's not a leader. That's
not a leader. It's self-serving. Okay, so we kind of beat this one up a little bit. Policies and procedure. We have 6663A that we've kind of been going over here in different sections and that sort of thing. I see a lot of loopholes and where people can kind of squirm around. And for something that is important as elections, there's really not too much here. This is a 9-pager, and it doesn't really go into, I come from military background. We go into painful detail when it comes to SOPs, policies, procedures. Liz can back me up on that. This would not pass the sniff test in the military for sure.
Hell no, because they tell you, how to do it, when to do it, with who, exactly how, step by step. Yep.
There's usually a budget that's attached to a program as well. There's no budget here. Every program has job descriptions that goes into painful detail of the qualifications and expectations of the person holding that position. There's none of that in here. How is reporting done? There's absolutely no there's no process of reporting. Who do they report to? Who are they funded by? I mean, I've heard that they're funded by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I believe I heard that from one of the exiting election judges. She was there like, okay, have fun dealing with the BIA and, reporting to them. I'm the only one who's been keeping this program afloat because I've been reporting to the BIA properly for our funding for this. And it's that in itself a conflict. If the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, is funding our election judges, does that stink?
Yeah, it does, because there's back and forth. The judges in the past received $200 per meeting, and then when Lee Spoonhunter purposely resigned, and again the previous council appointed him as a election judge, knowing full well he was a convicted felon. When he got onto that committee, he upped the pay to $500 per meeting.
Just like that.
Just
Snap
like
of
that.
the fingers.
Yep. And they went on a big training in Vegas, so get onto that money train, and we'll call things that we want, because we need extra money in our pockets.
Yeah, got to pay that rent on that apartment in Denver, right?
I don't know, right?
Oh my goodness.
With the history, it's getting crazy because it was shared with me. We originally had 8 judges. A lady refused to take a COVID test. I don't remember who she was. So then we got knocked down to 7. And then they ousted everybody right before an election when the referendum vote failed. And so Spoonhunter made a point to get onto that committee. Why? I don't know. I don't know if it was to have control over the absentee ballots and the votes. There's just too much inconsistencies and them not abiding by our 66638. He was on a mission.
Yes. Yes, he was. There's always ulterior motives when it comes to Lee Spoonhunter and Kim Harjo, and I take no joy in saying that. It should not be that way. Our leaders should not be self-serving, and every time they make a move or a decision, it's like, okay, what's in it for them? Isn't that sad? That's pretty pathetic.
Exactly. And then not only that, just what they did and how they did it.
It's slimy.
When he resigned
from council,
which is wrong,
meeting with the election committee
earlier
in the week, like a Monday or something like that. And he met with them, taking that seat, and he violated 66638 by dual duties because he didn't officially resign till the end of that week. Nora Willow told me the day when he officially resigned. So he was in violation right there to be on that committee. And then they also went with 6 months or less to appoint. So they weren't even fair. They didn't even go with the highest vote getter. At that time, the highest vote getter was Preston Moss. But they chose to appoint, and they appointed Jared Whitebull.
Yeah.
And then through the election, Jared didn't make the cut.
Yep.
The people put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and they voted unanimously for Preston Moss to be our elected official.
And he's doing a very good job, from what I hear.
Yes,
yes.
ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Okay, so key aspects of their administration, they're to administer over conflict over authority, basically calling balls and strikes, right? They're supposed to be in there as umpires, sort of. Involves interpreting conflicting laws from the general council and the tribal court, kind of like teasing out the minutia and trying to making sense, not making, adding to the chaos, but actually they're supposed to be the voice of reason, from what I gather. And whenever you're breaking all the rules and doing whatever you want, that's an agent of chaos. That's not an election judge behavior. You're supposed to have a steady hand and wise and doing the right thing and having a good reputation within the community. Second bullet here, administer political disputes. He is not qualified for any of this. Administer judicial interventions. I have on here an example of that was when Al Addison had appealed that he wanted to be on the election ballot, and then the tribal court got involved, the tribal court ordered the election judges to put Al Addison back on the ballot. This is before the 66663A was amended. After this incident, 66663A was amended, but that wasn't that long ago. 2020. It wasn't that long ago that a contracted tribal court judge told our tribal election judges, oh, you need to put that person back on the ballot, which just blows my mind. That wasn't that long ago.
Correct.
And here, just have a letter where General Counsel washes its hands from the Addison appeal to be put on ballot. I guess he made an appeal to General Counsel. Hey, I want to be on the ballot November 11th. They could not get the numbers for that to happen. And this is basically a letter from at that time, General Counsel Chairman, putting the ball back in the election committee's court. And then I just have cited here that Addison was ordered again to be put back on the ballot by the tribal court. But that has since been redacted, redone. That's not happening anymore. Shouldn't be happening anymore. Okay, we're going to quickly go over the recall process. This is also in 66663A for you folks who want to go and take a look at it. We're quickly going to go over Jesse Crispin's recall process, and we're going to break it down step by step just to show you guys that this is a dumpster fire. This is a total mess. So let's go ahead and get started. We did do a recall process for Lloyd Goggles. That was a mess. The whole election of it, the 30% rule. We've done a podcast breaking that whole process down and how it just didn't make any sense. So feel free to review that. So the recall election challenge, it was done by Jesse Crispin and by Nicole Wagon. They were two challengers of the election, the recall election. And they were given basically a laundry list of guidance of what the procedure and deadlines for this process was going to be. And none of this is in 66663A. Do you find that interesting, Nicole?
Oh, yeah, because it was a bunch of hogwash, made-up rules that are non-existent because the recall procedures has never happened in our history. Never. And how they did Mr. Al Addison, may he rest in peace, they did him wrong. of what they did and how they did it. And it was Mr. Spoonhunter was chairman at the time, and he put everything out there in the news about them removing him from office. So, and they're supposed to be fair, right? So I don't think anybody understands the loophole in 66638, because I asked some of the lawyers, how did Jared Whitebull get on? They said, can't appoint. I said, but you're not being fair for everybody that filed. Traditionally, it's always been somebody with the next highest vote getter. And for me to comprehend, they clarified to me that it says if a seat is open less than 6 months, any enrolled tribal member could be appointed by NABC. That means Liz's daughter that's
Yeah.
over 18 could have been appointed. Anybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that,
And that's exactly what they did.
yeah, it's not even fair. I'm about fairness, right? Not make
Mhm.
the rules up as you go along. And with the election process and procedures, that was a joke in itself.
Mhm.
It was all made up.
All made up. So, Miss, it was made up by whom? I guess we'll get to that answer here in a second. But you were given notice by Miss Nora Willow. Was this email or text or something? I know I email where it says that Judge Brown, who is the sister of Lloyd Goggles and who's also an election judge, is that she's going to recuse herself from the recall process. Recall challenge is what we're calling it. And then here's Lee Spoonhunter. They're both going to voluntarily recuse themselves from the hearing and decision of the challenge. But did they really?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
Because they were involved, excuse me, and I got a call because we were separate challenges.
Mm.
And Mr. Spoonhunter was directly involved in Mr. Jesse Crispin's meetings.
Okay.
So, you know, they can put all this, we're going to recuse yourselves, but guaranteed, I bet you they got $500.
Well, yeah. I would call that substantial proof of misconduct.
Yeah, there was another meeting that they called at 477. I went to that meeting and all of a sudden they canceled it because I went in support, and they canceled it a couple of minutes before that meeting, and I saw Hetty Brown's vehicle there. I got pictures of all of this, by the way. I'm really good about facts and documentation. And her truck was there, and I was trying to figure out who all was in there, because whoever was in there, they all got $500.
Mm.
So this is a straight up lie.
It sounds good, but the proof is in the pudding. That did not happen. They
Now,
did not.
get the amounts and who was all paid, because it's getting pretty ridiculous, right?
Mhm. Yes.
And it was interesting at the general council, this past general council, turned into information. I watched the judges walk into that meeting after the fact that it didn't make quorum. They took a folder over to the secretaries, and then another individual said, see what they're doing? I said, what's going on? They said, oh, they're given an invoice to the secretaries for them to get paid. I said, why are they getting paid? They're not even on the agenda. They're not even on the agenda. So why are they getting paid again another $500? I mean, you know, keep milking the cow.
It's disgusting.
Nobody's challenging these issues, and they're just saying, it's okay. And the bandits that made out on all this election process are the judges. Thousands. I imagine they probably had a pretty good Christmas.
Just because you wanted to have fairness and you and Jesse decided to voice your opinions and do a challenge, they took a full advantage of that, and it was a mess. Another part of the process was that the challenges were supposed to be open to the public via Zoom. Did that happen?
No. I never. In fact, I challenged it because I was the presenter through the whole process and had Mr. Goggles recalled. And that sticks. The people passed, they voted. He didn't even show up for general counsel. And as far as I'm concerned, reading 6663A, once you're officially recalled, you cannot run for 12 years.
Well, this is the second time. This is the second time he's been recalled. So,
and then Mr. Crispin was able to challenge because it says if you're within a certain many votes, you can challenge. And as you showed earlier, he's only a couple of votes away from from Goggles. What is it? A 4-point spread?
Yeah.
So he was able to challenge. So we were just going by what 6663A states. We're exercising our right.
I don't think they were expecting you guys to say anything or to challenge, because this looks kind of thrown together and not well thought through, and they certainly didn't execute it.
No, and then I don't know how many meetings. I got an email from Charging Crow, LC Charging Crow, and there was no guts to the email. And then I got another email saying I missed the deadline. And it's like, what deadline? And I had to show them I received nothing. So that's not on my end. But I had all the proof. I have all the proof with the back and forth with the emails. And then she apologized. Then she set up another one, which never happened because they couldn't get it together.
They couldn't get it together. There you go. Bottom line. And this is an interesting little snapshot of some of the text messages and emails that were going back and forth. So you have something here. What is this? Northern Arapaho Election Committee 2025 at gmail.com. Really?
Yeah, I don't know who was all on that one. Because I was getting all the emails from Elsie Charging Crow from Wind River Cares.
She was emailing you from her personal work email.
Yeah, work related. And they cannot do anything until 5 p.m. And all my emails were before 5 p.m.
Jeez.
They really like breaking rules, but I got all the facts. I got all the evidence. And then when they said they weren't going to meet with me, that they already made a decision. How can you make a decision when I rightfully never had a hearing?
Exactly. Excellent points. So why are lawyers involved? What's your thoughts on that? Because I have here circled Wyatt Golding and Brian Chestnut, and they are our tribal lawyers, right? So
they're the general counsel lawyers.
General counsel lawyers. There we go. They're our lawyers.
Yeah.
Well, why are they involved with this challenge process?
Well, it was interesting. They agreed with me because I showed them all the facts of how could they even say we're having a meeting when there was nothing in there. It was chaos, back and forth. And then the rules. I said, where'd these rules come from? I want to see a copy.
Nothing. We got nothing back.
It was all made up. And then I even had to where it was shared with me in the referendum vote. This is how bad they wanted those staggered terms. It was shared with me that they ordered the secretary to provide all ballots to everybody at all costs with postage in return. But they did not, I repeat, they did not do the same process for the recall election process. And they did not share how to get a ballot.
Yeah, all true. Yeah, we've been covering that in detail. So, good points. So they went ahead and made a decision without hearing you out, Nicole. They made a decision that the recall, was not going to happen. They made that decision. That it was all for naught. I can't say that I didn't see that one coming, but you guys tried to use the system, and they rigged it.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they don't expect anybody to ever stand up to them, right? So they're just going to railroad us and run right over us, and nobody's going to say anything. Well, Nicole,
right?
Nope, doing it to her.
Mm-hmm.
But that time's over.
And so how we kind of left that situation, or your situation, Nicole, is that you wrote a letter to the election committee, and I think you CC'd our lawyers on it too, that you're going to reserve your recall challenge until the legitimate election committee takes their seats. Absolutely stand your ground. I mean, if there are illegal election judges in there now and they're acting like this, why wouldn't you want to withhold your challenge to be heard by the proper people who are actually going to do your complaint justice? But luckily, hey, Jesse Crispin made it into, he's actually sitting in a councilman's chair right now. So we get to move forward from that. But it didn't have to be this long and drawn out and wasting the people's money. It really didn't have to go down that way. So the GC agenda item that you had put on the agenda, Nicole, was for the immediate installation of the general counsel duly elected election judges. We did not get quorum, so we weren't able to take a vote on that. And just as a side note, what didn't make the last agenda was the resolution directing the Northern Arapaho Business Council Chairman Keenan Groesbeck to execute the removal, because the body itself, the Business Council, can do their own housekeeping if they have a member who is not participating, not holding up their end, violating their oath, violating resolutions. That body can vote out a fellow member of that body. And so you were going to, and I believe it was Chairman Groesbeck who told you, yeah, put that on the agenda, but make me do it, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you remember him saying that, Liz?
No. But I believe it.
Oh, okay. Well, you tried to put it on the agenda to have the body take care of itself, to regulate itself, which it can, according to 6663A. It was shot down by the GC chairman, and she was citing a resolution that was passed previously at a general council meeting saying nothing can be put on the agenda, our agenda, if it has to do with personal vendetta.
Yeah, and then that was Harjo. She reinstated a resolution, and it's got a lot of junk in it, and we're going to push to rescind that resolution. But she based her decision on Harjo's stated resolution that was thrown out by the people,
hmm
and it's personal vendetta. And I didn't get the email till um, the evening after the agenda already went out. I didn't get the courtesy email from General Counsel Chairman Sonny Goggles. So there was no room to even dispute, because usually all the General Counsel chairmen that I've worked with all these years have always met with me professionally, giving me a courtesy. And I shared with her that this isn't a personal vendetta. This is facts. The point is, he chose not to uphold not one, but two General Counsel resolutions. And he chipped at our sovereignty, right, Liz, with our hunting and gathering?
Yep.
Those are facts.
Right. So she's got to be reined in with this personal vendetta thing, because she can put a gag order on just about any agenda item. I mean, with that. So definitely need to take care of that one for sure. We have an illegal election committee sitting in seats right now, folks. The following individuals were elected on May 23rd, 2025, and they should be sitting in those seats right now. At the very least, they should have taken their seats January 1st, right? According to tradition. Fort Washakie, Carolyn Hill, Ethity, Betty Matthews, Marvine Thunder representing Ethity, Francis Blackburn for Arapahoe, Robin. Did I misspell her name again? I apologize. Manderson. It should say Manderson. So these folks should be sitting in their seats right now. They are, I mean, according to tradition, according to general counsel, the people have voted. They're going against the people's vote, the people's decisions, the people's voice, and they're going against tradition. It's really kind of disgusting. So what we got going on, sign the petition for a special general counsel. I think you guys have this circulating currently, ladies?
Somewhat. Well, first off, we wanted to meet with the council on this, get their input, what they thought. That's when Grossbeck said that he wouldn't intervene. And that's where I come to question, this whole Section 11 doesn't make any sense. They can appoint them, and then so if they're guilty of misconduct, it's up to the council to replace them. But no intervention there.
To fix it, I mean, it's pretty simple. Let's not make it complicated. So we got to uphold our general counsel resolutions, their law, period. And so the people voted May of 2025, and the council could rightfully refuse, because I'm not getting any answers of who cuts these checks. And they could downright refuse paying the appointed election committee versus the people voting on the committee, right? Appointed and the people voted.
Right.
And to say, no, we're going to uphold general counsel resolutions. And this passed of May 2025, and you appointed people do not exist anymore. And more, they need to get a new secretary for the committee, because it's a conflict of interest, because Nora is the executive secretary for the NABC, and she also is the secretary for the committee, and she gets an additional $500. And it's just kind of no separation of powers or in conflict of interest.
Isn't she also the general counsel secretary?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
This makes no sense.
Yeah.
Stop the insanity. It's all a dumpster fire.
And
There
then
you
I
go.
just want to say, grateful that I think people really need to know that it's been a 3-on-3 game in our NABC chambers. It's been a fight of upholding the resolutions to the people that upheld the two general council resolutions that passed, which was the termination of Pat Lacron
Mhm.
and the in-house attorney, they're the ones that upheld the laws.
Mhm.
So I think people really need to know that. And now that the council has taken the bull by the horns of trying to make things better for the people,
Mhm.
they're the ones that removed Mr. Goggles
Mm.
because
Yeah.
it says they could self-govern themselves, and they did.
It
And
took long enough.
yeah, look how long. Not only that, Mr. Jesse Crispin, you know, he has a bachelor's degree in business administration and management.
Mm.
He has a master's degree in urban and regional planning, MERP, with a certificate of tribal planning. You know,
Mhm.
they tell all our people, go get your education and come back and help our people. Give them a chance.
Mhm.
And he has degrees.
Right. Exactly. So my take on the situation, this whole election committee, election judges dumpster fire is when we do get our elected, appointed GC elected election judges in there, it's time to do some housekeeping. It's time to get things, dress right dress in military terms and get the 6663A down to a science. It's been dragging on long enough. It's been used, abused, and made all kinds of loopholes. It's unrecognizable, and it's a shame. It really is. Your
Well,
last words, Nicole?
well, does anybody look at the action of this past appointed committee? Every general council, they've tried to place on there an amendment for debt free, the definition of debt free,
Mm-hmm.
drug testing. What else is on there, Liz?
I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff on here.
That they tried to change for people to be able to run for office.
Mm.
None of it ever passed. None of it ever passed. And then also I would like the people's input of the appointed election committee wasting our money for their own ulterior motives and not being fair. They were removed by the GC May of 2025. I want to know the people's thoughts. Do they have to pay all this money back?
Mm.
And in the election process, what it says, even in 6663A, the certification, they put a results out, and Mr. Spoonhunter basically spoke about himself, and it wasn't certified.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even know who voted, where, what, and how many absentee ballots. That was pretty shady within itself.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just here trying to educate our community and the unjustifications with our election committee, and your vote counts and matters.
Yes.
So
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. Liz, final thoughts.
My final thoughts is that we voted on and put the election committee back under the general council. We voted in new ones. Let them take their seats.
Absolutely. So where can we find this petition at, and how can people get involved? Do you guys have a public service announcement on that or not? Not yet. Not at this time. More to follow.
No.
Well, not only that, but we got to figure out, how did we have 8 judges? How did we get down to 7? And then how many do we have now?
5.
Yeah.
5. Yeah. Yep.
So if anybody could reach out to us to let us know what the history from 8 to 7 to 5.
Yeah, we're missing some names here. What a mess. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies. I think we defined what the situation going on. Again, this was kind of a hard one for me to put my finger on because it's so fast and loose. And people are really taking advantage of the 6663A and twisting it and making it into whatever they want it to be. So it was kind of hard for me to wrap my head around, and I appreciate you ladies coming on with me here this evening. Hey, until next time, folks, stay safe out there. All my relations.